The woman couldn't believe her eyes. Her son, who had always struggled with ADHD, was quietly watching a chess game in the park. Curious, she asked the old man playing if he'd teach her son how to play around. To everyone's shock, the boy forced the seasoned player into a losing position in just 4 moves on his very first try. The woman was stunned. But instead of being impressed, the old man grumbled and kicked them out. At first, the woman felt confused, even a little offended. But the more she thought about it, the more thrilled she became. When they got home, she asked her husband George to play a game with their son. As usual, the boy couldn't sit still, he fidgeted, squirmed, and seemed uninterested. George was sure his wife was exaggerating. But an hour later, the smile vanished from his face. He had been completely destroyed. He only managed to capture 1 pawn, while his son played most of the game blindfolded, from the bathtub. This terrifying display of talent would drive most parents into a frenzy. But George was surprisingly calm. The next day, he took his son to register at the local chess club, then changed his mind and walked away. From then on, George brought his son to the park daily to play chess. The boy was not only having fun, but he also started making friends. Everything changed when a man named Bruce showed up. It turned out that the grumpy old man from before was actually a master-level player. Bruce, a chess coach, was so impressed he offered to train the boy at half price, but George refused. He had tried to support his son's hobbies many times, only for them all to end halfway due to lack of focus. He didn't want to get his hopes up again. Still, Bruce wouldn't give up. He came to their home and spent the day playing brain games with the boy. Then he told George, "Your son doesn't have ADHD. His brain just moves too fast. That's why he struggles with patience. Let me train him. I'll turn him into a chess prodigy." This time, George agreed. He paid the tuition and entered what would become the roller coaster of chess parent life. A month later, George brought his son to a youth tournament. He listened carefully to the referee explaining the rules. But even before the matches began, something felt off. The organizers weren't paying attention to the rowdy kids. Instead, they gave strict warnings to the parents. No shouting, no mocking, no staring each other down. George was confused until the games began. While his son was deep in a tense match, George glanced across at the other parents, only to find one glaring directly at him. Before he could react, 2 parents on the far side broke out into a full-on fistfight. As a result, all the adults were kicked out. The kids, oddly enough, applauded the decision. Some kids paced nervously, others prayed with trembling hands. Even George, usually the calm one, couldn't help but stare at the scoreboard. His son stormed through every round, and as his wins piled up, more and more parents came over pretending to chat, but clearly trying to fish for information. That's when George's competitive side was finally triggered. In the final match, his son faced a fierce opponent. After a hard-fought game, he won. That night, while his son slept peacefully, George quietly picked up the championship trophy, and smiled for the first time in a long while. From then on, he and his son traveled everywhere for tournaments. Trophy after trophy filled their shelves, becoming the foundation of George's pride as a father. He got used to being interviewed by reporters. He even started to enjoy the jealous, helpless stares of other parents. But then came the school's parent meeting. The teacher warned that frequent absences were hurting his son's academics. He was falling behind and drifting apart from his classmates. Normally mild-mannered, George lost his temper. "I know how to raise my son," he snapped. "He's not even 8 and he's already surpassed everything